Commander John Mitchell stared out the viewport of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon. The stars looked different this far from home. After 3 years in deep space, the crew had grown used to new sights, but nothing prepared them for what happened next. A flash of light engulfed the bridge. John blinked, and when he opened his eyes, he and his 4 senior officers stood in an enormous room with crystal walls that reflected light in patterns none of them had ever seen before. "Is everyone okay?" John asked, looking at his team. Communications Officer Lily Ramirez checked her tablet, which somehow came along for the ride. "Systems are offline. I can't reach the ship." Security Chief Kate Wilson already had her hand on her sidearm. "Sir, we have company." Around them, in a circle of raised seats, sat creatures of various shapes and sizes. Some looked almost human, while others defied description. One had skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Another seemed made of living stone. A tall being, with blue skin and 6 fingers on each hand, stood up. "Welcome, humans of Earth. I am Zorax, Chief Administrator of the Galactic Council." John stepped forward. "I'm Commander John Mitchell of the EEV Horizon. How did we get here? Where is our ship?" "Your vessel is safe," Zorax said. "It remains where it was, frozen in time. You have been brought here because your species has reached the threshold." Science Officer Greg Powell adjusted his glasses. "Threshold? What threshold?" A creature that looked like a cross between a praying mantis and a cat clicked its mandibles. "The threshold of potential entry into the galactic community, of course." Engineer Sam Rodriguez whispered. "First contact. We actually made first contact." Zorax nodded. "Indeed. But before any species can join our federation, they must pass the test." The way he said the test made it sound important, like a proper name with capital letters. "What kind of test?" John asked. A being made of what looked like living crystal chimed in, its voice ringing like bells. "The test has been administered to all spacefaring civilizations for over 40,000 years. It is our way of determining readiness." Kate frowned. "Readiness for what?" "For the truth," Zorax said simply. The mantis cat creature added, "Every species must face it, no exceptions." John looked around at the assembled aliens. "And if we refuse?" The room fell silent. Zorax's expression darkened. "Then you will be quarantined. Your system will be enclosed in a temporal barrier. No ships in or out, no communications. For your own protection, of course." "Of course," John repeated, not believing it for a second. "And how many species have passed this test of yours?" The aliens exchanged glances. "None," the crystal being finally admitted. "No species has ever passed the test." Greg raised his eyebrows. "In 40,000 years, not one?" "Correct," Zorax confirmed. "Though some have performed better than others, resulting in limited trade agreements rather than full quarantine." John crossed his arms. "So you're saying that no matter what we do, we fail?" "The test simply reveals what is already there," a purple-skinned humanoid with 4 eyes said from one of the higher seats. "It is not designed to make you fail. It is designed to show what you are." Lily stepped forward. "And what happens to species who fail badly?" "They are protected from truths they cannot handle," Zorax said. "Some recover, given time. Some do not." John felt a chill run down his spine. Whatever this test was, it had broken entire civilizations. "You will have 3 of your Earth days to prepare," Zorax announced. "You may communicate with your ship during this time. Choose your representatives wisely." With another flash of light, the 5 humans found themselves in a luxurious room with beds, food, and what looked like entertainment systems. "Did that just happen?" Sam asked, looking around. Kate was already checking the doors. "Locked, but not aggressively so. More like hotel room doors." Greg examined a device on the wall. "I think this is their version of a computer terminal." He pressed a button and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. "Can you contact the ship?" John asked. Lily joined Greg at the terminal. After a few minutes of experimentation, they established a link to the horizon. "This is Commander Mitchell. Lieutenant Adams, report." The face of their pilot appeared in the hologram. Sir, we've been trying to find you. 1 minute you were all on the bridge, the next you vanished. We're fine, John assured him. We've made first contact with a federation of alien species. They call themselves the Galactic Council. As John explained the situation to the ship, the other officers explored their temporary quarters. Look at this, Sam called out. He had found what appeared to be a library of information about other species. This could be helpful, Greg said, scrolling through the alien text that somehow translated itself as they read. Says here the Krex, I think that's the mantis cat species. They're known for their military prowess. They lasted 17 minutes in the test before giving up. 17 minutes? Kate asked. That's the record? Apparently, Greg confirmed. Most species break within the first 5 minutes. John finished his call to the ship and joined them. Learn anything useful? Lily pointed to a passage on the screen. Each species is tested differently. The test adapts to the psychology of the species being tested. So it's not the same challenge for everyone, John mused. No, Greg said, but whatever it is, it seems to target deep psychological vulnerabilities, species-wide fears or weaknesses. Sam looked troubled. What could possibly break every intelligent species in the galaxy? I don't know, John said, but I think we need to find out more before we agree to anything. Over the next 2 days, the humans met with representatives from various species. None would describe exactly what happened during the test, but all had the same haunted look when they spoke of it. It is not pain, the crystal being who they learned was called Nalari told them. Physical suffering would be easier to bear. Then what is it? John asked. Truth, Nalari said. Stripped bare of all comforting illusions. On the 3rd day, Zorax summoned them back to the Great Chamber. Have you selected your representatives for the test? He asked. John looked at his crew, then back at the alien. Yes, all 5 of us will participate. A murmur went through the assembled council members. That is unusual, Zorax said carefully. Most species send only their bravest or most psychologically resilient. John shrugged. On Earth, we face things together. Very well, Zorax said. The test will begin tomorrow at first light. I suggest you rest well. As they returned to their quarters, Kate asked, Are you sure about this, Commander? All of us? John nodded. Whatever this is, I think it's going to take a unique human perspective to beat it. And between the 5 of us, we cover a lot of ground. That night, none of them slept well. Tomorrow they would face something that had broken every intelligent species the galaxy had ever known, and somehow they had to be the first to pass. Morning came too quickly. John and his crew ate a silent breakfast, each lost in their own thoughts. The food provided by their alien hosts tasted like Earth food, but not quite right, as if someone had read about human cuisine but never actually tried it. Let's go over what we know, John said, pushing his plate away. The test adapts to each species. It targets psychological weaknesses. Greg nodded. From what I gathered, it shows you something fundamental about reality that most species cannot accept. Like what? Sam asked. No one would tell me exactly, Greg replied. But I got the impression it's something existential, something about our place in the universe. Kate leaned forward. The Krex are warriors. They value strength above all else, yet they broke after 17 minutes. And the Nalari, Lily added. They're a hive-mind species with billions of connected individuals. You'd think they'd have tremendous psychological resilience. A soft chime sounded, and the door to their quarters slid open. A small gray-skinned alien with large black eyes waited in the hallway. It is time, the alien said. Please follow me. They walked through crystal corridors that seemed to shift and change as they passed. Other species watched them from a distance, some making gestures that might have been wishes of good luck. I feel like we're being led to an execution, Sam whispered. Stay positive, John replied. We don't know what this is yet. They arrived at a plain white door. It looked out of place among the crystal and metal of the rest of the station. Their guide gestured toward it. The test chamber. Once you enter, You must remain for at least 1 hour to pass. No species has ever managed this. What's the average time? Greg asked, always the scientist. 4 minutes, 12 seconds, the alien replied without hesitation. John took a deep breath. Is there anything else we should know? The alien seemed to consider this. The test is not designed to hurt you physically, but many species have needed psychological care afterward. Great, Kate muttered. Just what I wanted to hear. We'll be fine, John said firmly. Remember, we're here to represent Earth. Whatever happens in there, we face it together. The alien nodded and pressed a hand to a panel beside the door. It slid open to reveal a simple, empty white room. Good luck, humans, the alien said. You will need it. The 5 crew members exchanged glances, then walked through the doorway together. The door closed behind them with a soft click. The room was small and completely empty. No furniture, no decorations, nothing but white walls, ceiling, and floor. This is it? Sam asked, looking around. I expected something more impressive. Voice came from nowhere and everywhere. The test will begin in 10 seconds. Please prepare yourselves. John squared his shoulders. Whatever happens, remember who we are and where we come from. The others nodded, forming a circle so they could see each other. 3, 2, 1. The white room vanished. In its place was a nothing. They floated in an infinite black void. No stars, no planets, no light except what seemed to emanate from their own bodies. They could see each other, but nothing else existed. Just endless, perfect emptiness stretching forever in all directions. Is this it? Kate whispered, her voice sounding strangely flat in the void. This is what broke 12 civilizations? No, one answered immediately. They floated, unable to move in any direction, suspended in absolute nothingness. Slowly, a feeling began to creep over them. A vast, crushing sense of insignificance, of meaninglessness, of cosmic horror at their own, tiny existence against the infinite emptiness of reality. John felt it pressing on his mind. The universe was big, too big, and they were nothing, less than nothing. Specks so small they didn't register at all in the grand scheme of things. He saw the others feeling it too. Greg's eyes were wide behind his glasses. Lily hugged herself, as if cold. Sam's usual smile had vanished. This is... Greg started, then stopped. It's targeting our existential dread centers, making us feel our own insignificance. I get it now, Lily said quietly. This is the truth they mentioned, that we're nothing, that nothing matters. The pressure grew. The emptiness seemed to whisper that all human endeavor was pointless. All love, all art, all science, meaningless against the void. Minutes passed, in silence as they struggled against the growing psychological weight. Then Sam made a strange sound. John looked over, worried that his engineer was breaking under the pressure. Sam was laughing. What's so funny? Kate asked, her voice strained. This, Sam gestured at the void. This is what broke everyone? This is the big scary test? He laughed again. I was expecting something worse. Greg blinked. Worse than the fundamental meaninglessness of all existence? Well, yeah, Sam said. I mean, humans have been dealing with this concept forever. Nietzsche, Camus, Sartre, hell, even religious folks have to grapple with this. If God exists, why is there suffering? Same basic question. John felt the pressure ease slightly as he focused on Sam's words instead of the void. You know what this reminds me of? Sam continued. That quote about staring into the abyss. The one about the abyss staring back? John asked. Yeah, except I always thought it was kind of funny because what else are you going to do with an abyss? Play cards? Lily snorted, a small sound that turned into a chuckle. That's fair. If this is it, I was expecting something scarier. Remember that philosophy class in the academy? Greg asked, a small smile forming. Professor Jenkins would have a field day with this. The pressure from the void still pushed against them, but somehow it seemed less overwhelming now. You think this broke the cracks? Kate wondered. The big tough warrior species? Makes sense, John said, feeling more like himself. If your entire civilization is built around strength and conquest, facing cosmic insignificance would be devastating. Same. For a hive mind like the Nalari, Greg added. Their whole identity is about being connected to something larger. What if nothing larger matters? They were all quiet for a moment, considering this. So that's it? Sam asked. We just have to hang out in the existential void for an hour? Seems like it, John replied. Anyone want to play 20 questions to pass the time? Lily laughed, the sound bright against the darkness. I spy with my little eye. Absolutely nothing. They all laughed then, the sound somehow defiant against the infinite emptiness. The void seemed to pulse with confusion. 45 minutes later, the test was still going. The humans had moved from word games to telling stories to discussing the philosophical implications of their situation. You know, Greg said, humans have been contemplating this exact scenario for thousands of years. We've built entire philosophical traditions around coping with existential meaninglessness. Plus, Kate added, we evolved on a planet where everything was trying to kill us. Cosmic horror is actually less scary than some of the stuff in Earth's history. John had a realization. I think that's why the others failed. They evolved on safer worlds. They never had to develop the psychological defenses we have. As they approached the 1-hour mark, the void seemed less oppressive. Not because it had changed, but because they had adapted to it. When the white room suddenly reappeared around them, they almost felt disappointed. That's it? Sam asked. Test over? The door slid open. Outside, a crowd of alien faces stared at them in complete shock. The 5 humans stepped out of the white room and into a crowd of stunned aliens. No one spoke. The silence stretched uncomfortably until Zorax pushed through the crowd. Impossible, he whispered, his blue skin pale with shock. You remained conscious for the entire hour. John nodded. Yes. Was that not the point of the test? The aliens exchanged glances of disbelief. The mantis cat Crex clicked its mandibles rapidly. A sound Greg had learned indicated extreme agitation. No species has ever endured the void for more than 17 minutes, Zorax said. Most break within 5. You not only endured it, you seem completely unaffected. Sam shrugged. It wasn't that bad, really. This statement caused another wave of murmurs among the watching aliens. Several moved back, as if the humans might be dangerous. Come, Zorax said, gathering himself. The council must discuss this immediately. They followed him back to the great crystal chamber. This time the 5 humans were given seats at the center, facing the council members who spoke in hushed, urgent tones among themselves. Lily leaned toward John. I think we scared them. Good, Kate whispered. Maybe they'll think twice before pulling more ships into their tests. Zorax raised his hands, and the chamber fell silent. For 40,000 years, the test has served as our measure of a species' readiness to join the galactic community. No species has ever passed. Many have been devastated by the experience. He looked directly at the humans. Until now, the crystal being Nalari chimed in. We must understand how they did it. What makes humans different? Greg raised his hand, politely. If I may? I have a theory. Zorax nodded for him to continue. Earth is what we might call a death world, Greg explained. Our planet has extreme weather, natural disasters, thousands of predators, and diseases that have shaped our evolution. Humans have always lived with danger and death as constant companions. This is true of many worlds, the purple four-eyed alien said dismissively. Perhaps, John agreed, but I think there's more to it. Humans are aware of our own mortality and the vastness of the universe. We've been wrestling with existential questions since we developed consciousness. Sam nodded. Our philosophers, writers, and religions have all tackled the meaning of existence in a seemingly indifferent universe. We've built entire cultural frameworks around coping with exactly what your test throws at people. The council members looked skeptical. Allow me to demonstrate, Lily said. She turned to her crewmates. What's your favorite way of dealing with the meaninglessness of existence? Finding joy in small moments, Kate answered immediately. Creating my own meaning through work I care about, Sam said. Connecting with others, John added. Learning. As much as possible about the universe, Inc., Greg smiled. Lily turned back to the council. See? We all have different answers, but we've all thought about it. Your test assumes that confronting cosmic insignificance is universally devastating. For humans, it's Tuesday. This comment drew more murmurs from the council, some sounding alarmed. A new alien, small and pink with tentacles instead of arms, floated forward. The humans raise a valid point, Chief Administrator. Perhaps the test is flawed. Flawed? Zorax looked shocked. The test has been our standard for millennia. And in that time, the pink alien continued, we have quarantined 87 species who might have contributed greatly to our community, all because they couldn't face one specific psychological challenge that these humans seem to find trivial. The chamber erupted into arguments. Some council members gesticulated wildly, others pounded on their seats, and a few seemed to be changing colors rapidly. Enough! Zorax shouted, and the room fell silent again. He turned to the humans. What would you suggest we do? The test has been our way since the beginning. John stood up. Why not modify it? Instead of using it to exclude species, use it to help them grow. If the test shows a species' psychological weaknesses, then help them overcome those weaknesses. Impossible. The Crex representative clicked. Some truths cannot be faced without breaking. Then you're not trying hard enough, Kate said bluntly. Humans face hard truths all the time. We adapt. We find ways to cope. Greg nodded. In fact, I would argue that truly facing the void, truly accepting the universe as it is necessary for real sapience. This statement caused an even greater stir among the council. You may be onto something there, the pink alien said thoughtfully. The species that performed better on the test have generally been more innovative and adaptable. Zorax seemed troubled. Are you suggesting that our entire approach has been wrong? That we've been holding back galactic development rather than protecting species? It's possible, John said gently. Sometimes protection prevents growth. The council debated for hours. Some members were outraged at the suggestion that the test might be flawed. Others were fascinated by the human's perspective. A few seemed terrified by the implications. Finally, Zorax called for a vote. The result was narrow but clear. The test would be modified, not eliminated. Species would still face the void, but with human guidance and support afterward. It seems, Zorax announced, that the Deathworlders have much to teach us. After the council session, the humans were escorted back to more comfortable quarters. This time they were treated with a mixture of fear, respect, and curiosity. I think we changed history today, Sam said as they settled into their new rooms. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, John cautioned. They're still processing what happened. A chime sounded, and the door slid open to reveal the pink alien from the council. Forgive the intrusion, it said. I am Plex, representative of the Corini. I wish to speak with you privately. John gestured for Plex to enter. What you did today, Plex said, its tentacles moving in what might have been excitement, was remarkable. Some on the council fear you, but others, including myself, see tremendous potential. Potential for what? Kate asked suspiciously. For change, Plex replied. Our civilization has been stagnant for millennia. We've been so focused on protecting species from harsh truths that we've stopped growing ourselves. Lily frowned. So the test wasn't just for new species? It affected your development too? Precisely, Plex confirmed. We built our entire society around avoiding the implications of the void. We created distractions, pleasures, and rules to keep ourselves from facing it. But you humans, you not only faced it, you laughed at it. So what happens now? Greg asked. Plex's tentacles rippled. Now, we would like to learn from you. The Council is preparing an offer. Full membership for Earth in the Galactic Council, with humans serving as special advisors on psychological resilience. And the species you've quarantined? John asked. What about them? That, Plex said, will be your first challenge as advisors. How do we help them face what broke them? The alien's eyes, small black dots in its pink face, gleamed with something like hope. After Plex left, the humans sat in silence for a moment. Well, Sam finally said, that's not how I expected first contact to go. No, John agreed with a small smile. It's much better. The next morning, John woke to find a message waiting on the alien computer terminal. The Council had reached a decision. Earth would be granted full membership in the Galactic Federation, with special advisor status. Additionally, the humans were invited to help establish a new program to assist previously quarantined species. They didn't waste any time, Lily said when John shared the news at breakfast. They've been stuck in the same pattern for thousands of years, Greg pointed out. Maybe they're eager for change. Kate remained skeptical. Or they're trying to control us. Keep your friends close and your potential threats closer. Either way, John said, this is a huge opportunity for Earth and for the quarantined species. A new message appeared on the terminal. Their first assignment would be to help the Volari, a species quarantined only 20 years ago. The Volari had shown great promise before facing the test with advanced technology and art. Their failure had been particularly devastating, with widespread psychological collapse. They're not wasting any time, Sam observed. Makes sense, Greg said. If you'd been doing something wrong for 40,000 years, wouldn't you want to fix it quickly once you realized the mistake? Later that day, they met with Zorax and Plex to discuss the Volari. Their home system has been under temporal quarantine since their failure, Zorax explained. Time passes more slowly there. For them, only about 2 years have passed since the test. And their condition? John asked. Plex's tentacles drooped. Not good. Their society nearly collapsed. Many took their own lives when faced with the void. Others turned to extreme hedonism or religious fanaticism. Their governments fell apart. But not all of them broke, Lily asked. A small percentage coped better than others, Zorax confirmed. About 5% of their population maintained functionality. They've been trying to rebuild, but without much success. So what's our role? Kate asked. You want us to go in and help them recover? Plex nodded. Precisely. We need to understand how humans cope with existential dread, and then teach those techniques to the Volari. If successful, this could become a model for helping other quarantined species. Greggy looked thoughtful. We should bring in experts from Earth. Philosophers, psychologists, religious leaders, artists. People who have devoted their lives to finding meaning in an indifferent universe. Agreed, John said. But first, I think we need to see the situation for ourselves. 2 days later, the 5 humans found themselves aboard a Galactic Council ship headed for the Volari home system. Releasing a species from quarantine was unprecedented, and many council members were nervous about the plan. What if they react violently? One had argued. What if their broken psychology makes them dangerous? What if keeping them isolated is making things worse? John had countered. You've been treating the symptoms, not the cause. As they approached the edge of the quarantine field, Plex explained how it worked. The field creates a bubble of altered space-time. It's not just a barrier, it actually slows the passage of time inside. For every 10 years outside, about 1 year passes within. That's incredible technology, Greg said, clearly impressed. It's also incredibly cruel, Kate added. Imagine being trapped in slow time, knowing the rest of the universe is moving on without you. Plex's tentacles curled uncomfortably. We believed we were being merciful, giving them time to recover on their own. Instead, you may have made it worse, Lily said gently. Isolation rarely helps psychological trauma. The ship passed through the quarantine field with a strange, rippling sensation. On the view screen, they could see the Valerie homeworld, a beautiful blue-green planet not unlike Earth. They're detecting us, the ship's pilot reported. They're sending a transmission. A face appeared on the screen, humanoid, but with silver skin and large, almond-shaped eyes. The Valari looked tired with dark circles under those enormous eyes. Council vessel, why have you returned? The quarantine period is not scheduled to end for another 800 years by our calculation. Zorax stepped forward. Greetings, Valerie leadership. We bring news and potential assistance. The Council's policies regarding the test have changed. The Valari's expression was hard to read, but their tone was bitter. Have you decided to end our suffering permanently then? Many would welcome it. No, John said, stepping into view. We're here to help you recover. We're humans from Earth. We passed the test and we think we can help you face it too. The Valari's eyes widened. You passed? That's impossible. That's what everyone keeps telling us, Sam said with a smile. But here we are. The Valari leader was silent for a long moment. Land at the central spaceport in our capital. I will meet you there with our remaining council. When the transmission ended, Plex turned to the humans. That was Nari, the leader of their emergency government. She was one of the few who maintained sanity after the test. But be prepared. The Valari society you'll see is very different from what it was before. The ship descended through clouds to reveal a city of elegant spires and curved buildings. But many structures were damaged or abandoned. The streets below were mostly empty, with only occasional movement. It looks like a plague hit them, Kate said softly. In a way it did, Zorax replied. A plague of despair. They landed at the spaceport, which was operational but clearly undermanned. A small delegation waited for them. 10 Valari, led by Nari. All had the same exhausted look. As they disembarked, John noticed something he hadn't seen on the view screen. Each Valari wore a small device on their temple. What are those? He whispered to Plex. Mood regulators, Plex explained. They dampen extreme emotional states. It was the only way some Valari could function after facing the void. Nari stepped forward. Welcome to Valara. Though I'm not sure what's left is worth welcoming you to. John extended his hand in greeting, having been briefed on Valari customs. We're honored to be here, Leader Nari. We believe we can help your people, Nari took his hand briefly. Many have claimed they could help. Religious leaders promising salvation, hedonists offering distraction. Neither worked for long. We're offering something different, Greg said. Not escape from reality, but a new way to face it. Nari studied them carefully. You truly passed the test? You faced the void and remained sane? We did, Lily confirmed. And we believe your people can learn to do the same. How? Nari asked, a hint of desperate hope in her voice. By accepting the void, not fighting it, John said. By finding meaning despite it, not trying to hide from it. For the first time, something like interest flickered in Nari's tired eyes. Come, she said. There's someone you should meet. They followed Nari through the quiet city. Some buildings were being repaired, and some Valari went about their business, but there was a heaviness to everything, as if the entire society was moving through mud. Before the test, Nari explained as they walked, Valara was a center of art, science, and philosophy. We were proud of our achievements, perhaps too proud. She led them to a small building with no windows. This is where our greatest philosopher has been living since the test. Inside, they found a single room with plain walls. In the center sat an elderly Valari, distinguished from the others by his pale, almost white skin. Unlike the others, he wore no mood regulator. This is Elder Toran, Nari said. He was our most celebrated thinker before the test. Now he is the only one who seems to truly understand what happened to us. The old Valari looked up at the humans with clear, bright eyes that contrasted sharply with his frail body. So, he said in a surprisingly strong voice, the void has finally met its match. Elder Toran studied the humans with curious eyes as they settled around him in the small room. Despite his frail appearance, his voice was strong, and his mind seemed sharp. You faced the void and you laughed, he said. I heard the reports. At first, I did not believe them. John nodded. It's true, we did. Tell me how, Toran said simply. The humans exchanged glances. Then Greg spoke. We recognized it. The void wasn't new to us. Humans have been contemplating our cosmic insignificance for thousands of years. Through philosophy? Torin asked. That, Lily said. And through art, literature, religion, and science. We've built entire frameworks for finding meaning despite the void. Torin's eyes brightened with interest. Show me. For the next 2 hours, the humans shared Earth's approaches to existential questions. Sam talked about absurdism and finding joy despite meaninglessness. Kate explained stoicism and focusing on what you can control. Greg discussed the scientific wonder of being part of the universe's story. Lily shared how human religions addressed suffering and meaning. John talked about how human connections create purpose. When they finished, Torin was silent for a long time. Before the test, he finally said, Valerie's civilization was built on a foundation of cosmic purpose. We believed the universe had meaning, and we were important to it. The void shattered that completely. And you couldn't find a new foundation, John said gently. Torin nodded. Some turned to pleasure to forget. Others created new religions with false certainties. Many simply gave up. But these were all ways of avoiding truth, not facing it. What about you? Kate asked. How did you survive without a mood regulator? Torin smiled faintly. I began to rebuild from nothing. If the universe has no inherent meaning, then meaning must come from within. I've been working on this idea, but few Valari were ready to hear it. They might be now, Sam suggested. Nari, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. You really think you can help our people recover? Not overnight, John cautioned. But yes, Earth is sending specialists, philosophers, psychologists, artists, people who have devoted their lives to these questions. And you have a plan? Nari asked. John nodded. We do. The first step is to create discussion groups, mixing humans with Valari. Safe spaces where people can talk about what they experienced in the void. The second step, Greg added, is education. We'll teach Earth's various approaches to finding meaning, from ancient philosophies to modern psychological techniques. Third, Lily continued, we'll help Valari artists, writers, and musicians express their experiences. Art has always been how humans process trauma. And finally, Kate said, we'll work with your scientists and engineers on practical projects. Sometimes the best way to find meaning is to build something useful. Torin nodded slowly. These are good ideas. But there is one more thing you must understand. He leaned forward. The void showed us truth. Any recovery must acknowledge that truth, not deny it. Absolutely, John agreed. We're not offering comforting lies. We're offering ways to live with the truth. 3 months later, the first progress reports showed promising results. Small groups of Valari were beginning to reduce their dependence on mood regulators. Art was appearing again in public spaces. Some factories and research centers had reopened. The humans had established a permanent embassy on Valara, with specialists rotating in from Earth. The Council had officially ended the temporal quarantine, allowing the planet to rejoin the normal flow of time. In one of the discussion groups led by Lily and a human philosopher, a young Valari named Mila spoke up. I still remember the void. I still feel its emptiness sometimes. She paused. But I'm learning to live with it, to find small moments of joy despite it. After the session, Lily found John reviewing reports in the embassy office. It's working, she said. Slowly, but it's working. John nodded. The council, representatives are impressed. They're talking about trying this approach with other quarantined species. There's something I've been wondering, Lily said, sitting down across from him. Do you think the council needed the void too? Not just the quarantined species? John considered this. I think so. They've been running from the same truth in their own way, building elaborate distractions, creating the test to project their own fears onto others. Speaking of the council, Kate said, entering the room with a datapad, Zorax just sent word. They're planning to establish a new division, the Department of Existential Resilience. They want humans to lead it. Sam laughed as he joined them. Fancy name for teaching aliens to laugh at the void. It's more than that, Greg said, entering with Elder Torin. It's about helping species face reality without breaking. It could change the course of galactic development. Torin nodded. For too long, the galaxy has been divided between those who hide from truth and those crushed by it. Perhaps now there can be a third path. 1 year after the humans had faced the test, Earth was formally welcomed into the Galactic Federation. The ceremony took place on the council station where it had all begun. Representatives from dozens of species attended, including a delegation of Valari led by Nari and Toran John, now serving as Earth's first ambassador, stepped up to address the gathered species. A year ago, we came here as explorers and found ourselves facing a test no one had ever passed. Today, we join this community not just as members, but as teachers. He looked around at the assembled aliens. Some still regarded humans with caution, but many showed genuine curiosity and respect. The void is real, John continued. The universe is vast, and we are small within it, but that doesn't mean we are nothing. It doesn't mean that what we do doesn't matter. He gestured to the Valari delegation. Already, one species is recovering from what was thought to be unrecoverable. Others will follow. And the lesson is always the same. We find meaning together, in connection, in creativity, in courage. After the ceremony, as humans and aliens mingled, Zorax approached John. I must confess, the blue-skinned alien said, when you first emerged from the test laughing, I thought you might be dangerous. Now I understand you were exactly what we needed. Not just us, John replied. All the species who failed the test had valuable perspectives. You just needed someone to show you a different way of looking at the void. Zorax nodded thoughtfully. The question remains, why were humans the first to laugh in the face of cosmic horror? Maybe because Earth tried to kill us so many times, John suggested with a smile. When you evolve on a world where everything is dangerous, you develop a certain perspective. Deathworlders, Zorax mused. Perhaps that's what the galaxy needed all along. As the celebration continued around them, John looked out a viewport, at the stars. The void was still out there, vast and uncaring, but it no longer seemed like something to fear. It was just the backdrop against which life created its own meaning. And somewhere in that void, Earth was waiting. The little blue, death world that had taught the galaxy how to laugh in the face of cosmic horror.